we are doing something a little bit different. I love this topic, as many of the ones that I give webinars on. I would say all of them. But what we're going to do tonight is something different. I'm going to give you the most valuable tool in this entire process of shifting your child to a more natural lifestyle, or starting them on a more natural lifestyle from birth, if they're an infant, or if you're pregnant. Establishing this lifestyle for yourself starts with base core principles. I could give you so many things about what you could do with yourself or your kid or your family, how to help raise them naturally, how to help heal them, how to become an image of health. However, in my opinion, and from what I've understood, and from what I've witnessed over the last 5 years and time before that within the chiropractic world and going through chiropractic school, the key basic thing to all of this, most important, is the philosophy, the foundation in which you build everything upon. Because if we don't understand our philosophy that we live our life upon, it was built by somebody else. It was built by our society. It was built by our parents. It was built by our teachers, whoever it may be. It was built by somebody else. Now that you get to look at it and you get to view yourself on how you make decisions for your family's health or sickness, then you can understand a different way of living. Then you can make a change. You can change the house in which you're living in. But first, in order to build a new house, you have to build a new foundation. Or if you're living in a house with a faulty, cracked foundation, trying to build this beautiful, natural house on top of a cracked foundation that was built poorly by somebody else with a lot of untrue pieces of advice or faulty pieces of advice, now you get to observe that. So tonight we're going to look at that. So what has intrigued me along this process? Why am I here talking to you about this topic of raising kiddos naturally and completely reestablishing your philosophy on how you do it? It's the way I was raised for many years. I was brought up in the chiropractic office, changed my life entirely. Family changed our lifestyle, and we shifted to living naturally. My mom was raising her kiddos naturally as best that she could. Now she knows even better because we built upon that foundation that she laid out for us, and we refined that foundation. And it's been an amazing journey. Now that I have my own child and have a wife who has the same philosophy on which we build our natural life upon, and we have another baby coming at the end of September, which we're super stoked about, that we're going to implement even more things that we've learned over the last 4 years, is a game changer. I'm telling you right now, it is a game changer. I clinically witness the difference in philosophies that people raise their family upon, and then therefore make the decisions on health that they do for their family, and the outcomes, the results that I get to see in people's expression of health, parents' expression of health, kiddos' expression of health. It is drastically different. I'm telling you clinically, it is a drastic different expression. Whether it's how their immune system functions, whether their digestion functions, whether their skin acts up or doesn't act up, whether how they sleep, how they interact with others, how they make eye contact, how they move their body, the clarity in their eyes, the way the decisions that they make, how they develop. It literally spans everything. So when we say natural, so let's just clear these things up before we go deeper into this philosophy. When we say natural, we don't mean anti-medicine. Medicine, in our opinion, has an amazing job of trauma medicine. They help you or your child, I'm going to be very blunt and honest, stay alive and not die. That is their objective. That's what they're amazing at. For instance, break a bone, go to medicine. Casted, if you have a major catastrophic injury with your child or yourself, go to the medical world. In our understanding, the natural world of healthcare, the natural world of health things, gotta sneeze. Excuse me. The natural world of health things comes from a different perspective. They pick up outside of that, keeping you alive, not dying, or your children that way. Natural healthcare, the natural world picks up the rest of that. That's how we use medicine. That's how we use natural healthcare and just living naturally. So we've got to experience the results of that within our own lives and with our daughter's life. And now we get to experience this for a second time around, but even better with our infant to come. When it comes to this basic philosophy, I can break it down to you. We can talk about reductionism and mechanism in comparison to vitalism or salutogenesis, right? I'm not going to bore you with all those terms, but basically what the core understanding of what that is mechanism, that is viewing the world as pieces and parts, right? And then what gets lumped into that is these separate pieces and parts. And on top of that, in the world of health, in the world of living unnaturally, we're always looking at not getting sick. And we're always looking at how the world can hurt us. And we're always on the defense. That creates more sickness. Living from a different perspective, vitalism, salutogenesis, this is the philosophy that we're talking about tonight when raising kiddos naturally. The philosophy of salutogenesis or vitalism looks at everything as a whole. Have you ever heard of holistic healthcare? It's because they're looking at the human body as a whole and how it interacts with the environment and other relationships in the world around them, because it's holistic. It's not this reduced single part, right? I'm having issues. Let's say your kiddo's having issues with their skin. From a reductionist mechanistic standpoint, let's go out and treat that skin issue versus taking a step back and saying, what is the body saying? What's going on? Why is it being expressed in the skin? What could be an underlying factor that the body's expressing skin issues? A lot of skin issues are internal body issues, mainly gut issues, mainly central nervous system, stressors. And we start to look at it from that perspective. And then what happens? The child heals. Raising kiddos naturally. Okay? It's a different perspective, but you have to look at the foundation. It's so important. It's literally the most important thing that what you do for your family on this journey of living a natural lifestyle or converting to more of a natural lifestyle. I can put the two different kiddos from each of these categories and look at them clinically, observe them. So if you put a bunch of 18-month-olds in my room, didn't tell me how their families lived, naturally or unnaturally, and I could watch them all interact at 18 months, I could very strongly point out who lives naturally, who does not live naturally. Why? Because these things were created to live in a natural environment. These things weren't meant to be bombarded by toxins. These things were meant to heal, were meant to be nourished, were meant to be fueled and interact with the world harmoniously, not looked at the world as stressful and under attack. So when we look at that perspective, we change that foundation and live a more natural lifestyle and look at our bodies as holistically and trust that we live in a kind, harmonious universe, that we were created to interact with the environment pristinely. Granted, we live post-industrial revolution. There's more toxins, stresses, chemicals. I understand that. Totally get that. You can mitigate those and better adapt to all of those. But choosing to live naturally now, in my opinion, is the most important thing that you'll do for yourself and your family out of anything. Health is everything. Lack of health destroys everything. And what's cool is that when you change your philosophy, live more naturally, your children are going to breed, from a biological standpoint, down the line, a better genetic expression within their children. And if they teach those kids how to live naturally, and those kids follow the principles that they're taught and make decisions upon those principles, they're going to make a stronger generation of kiddos following that. Look at the study called Pottinger's Cats. Apply that to human beings, and you'll see my example. Amazing study about how cats over generation got sicker via poor, unnatural lifestyles, and then they switched them back to natural lifestyles, and they rehabilitated their genetics back into optimal normal function. Topic for another day. But when we look at our life from that salutogenic model, from that holistic model, from that vitalistic model, what we're going to do is make decisions regarding your health that are going to fuel it. Not look to just treat sickness, and not look just to exist until the next sickness thing comes up that we're therefore going to treat. We're going to take care of our bodies and fuel health. Because when you fuel the body with health, you fuel your child's body with health, they're going to express an amazing level of health. It's just the way that it works. It's the way that it intended. We clear the interference that is out in our life, the interference of stresses, toxins, chemicals. We clear them out, and we base it a principle and an understanding that we're going to fuel our child's health. How are we going to view symptoms now? So let's talk about symptoms. Living naturally with a vitalistic philosophy of how we view symptoms. This thing gives you signals and signs as a part of symptoms and signs. So signs and symptoms in the medical world means signs that something is going on in your body, right? Pain, just say pain, right? So discomfort, consistent chronic discomfort. What is going on? Is it that we're treating the pain? Or are we looking at, well, my body's giving me this pain signal, something must be going on, so I should address the underlying cause and help my body restore health by fueling it and restoring function. And symptoms, so let's say within the kiddo world, which I love to talk about, fevers. So within certain limits, I understand this is where we're getting in the Western medical world, and I can't give you advice on what to do with fevers, so don't take my advice on what to do with fevers, right? Make an educated understanding. All I'm going to do is teach you about what the research says and what our bodies were designed to do. Okay? Fevers, under 3 months, you want to keep them under 101. That's what research has shown to be the safest. Beyond 3 months, say just under 104, okay, for sustained time. If you're over 104 for a couple hours, you should probably get some medical help. You should use them. What they're for is to keep you alive, okay? Within the other ranges, research shows, this is from the medical community, that we're just supposed to trust that the body is designed and doing exactly as it intended. The body is raising the temperature. We're viewing fevers from a natural lifestyle, a vitalistic lifestyle, just like the research says. We're viewing this fever. The body's raising a temperature to kick out a pathogen. We're going to let it ride. We're going to support that little body. If they need to rest, if they need some extra water, if they don't need to eat, right? Do you know animals, and from an infant perspective, any breastfeeding child should be breastfeeding during this time because that's where they get their liquid. That's where they get their nourishment. Got it. Non-breastfeeding children who eat food, drink water, just like animals. Animals that eat their own food, drink their own water, will tend, when they get really sick and really high fever, they won't eat. Why? Because we're looking at the body holistically. When you eat food, it takes energy to digest that food. There's a certain capacity of energy within this thing that when you eat that food, your body therefore then needs to divert some of that energy to digest that food. So therefore, it's taking away that energy from healing. So it's probably why you've ever experienced when you've been sick and had a fever, you didn't feel like eating because your body wants to use the energy. We've had that principle with my daughter. Stomach bug, it's a crazy one that we even got freaked out about. For 8 days, she lost pounds. But we live a vitalistic natural lifestyle, and we have preconceptively before we conceived her, during her pregnancy, after that, until now. Her body understands that it needs to do things the right way. We weren't being negligent. We were monitoring under our basic medical understanding of trauma medicine, right? We understand a lot of red flags. And that's why you should have a guide on your side who can do that. Somebody who's going to trust the body holistically. We do this for a lot of families. She healed. And who am I to say that that wasn't something that came into her body to help her function better? I don't know. This world that we live in, this universe that we live in, is extremely intelligent. This thing is extremely intelligent. If somebody tells you the science is settled regarding healthcare, run far and fast away from that person, because we really don't understand what this thing is. We're literally scratching the tip of the iceberg, and we have so much to understand and explore. It's an amazing thing. And when we live off of that different philosophy, we can therefore set a different trajectory for our own lives and our children's lives. When you do that, that's when your children are going to fully heal. When you switch that mindset and you start acting upon that mindset, that's when your children are going to fully heal. And that's when they're going to be an image of health. All the vital signs of image of health, you can look all those up. Signs of good health, visually and observationally. Things like I said before, clear skin, clear eyes, nice fluid movements, very reactive, balanced, great bowel movements, frequent urinations that aren't smelly, crazy smelly, right? Like, there's so many different things that we can look at. Not consistently plugged nose, things like that. Not constantly having boogers stream down their face, or constantly having things drain out of their ears. All the things that you can view health through comes from this philosophy. I can't reiterate it enough. And if you think it's easy to shift from or to shift into, the world wants to shift you back into reductionism and mechanism. Wants to shift you back into this symptom treating, into eating just the way that you want, and then going after sickness when it comes your way. It's not an easy lifestyle to switch over to living naturally, but it's the hard, easy approach. You put in the hard work to change your philosophy, change your lifestyle, then it becomes easy, right? Because your family is just healthier. And now you have an autopilot way of different living that you don't even have to think about the old ways that you used to live. And now you're on a different trajectory for the rest of your life. I could give you 1,000,001 things to build upon that philosophy. It's ridiculous how much I've learned on this path over the last, almost 20 years. But it's not about you knowing the things. Because I promise you, this thing has more access to the information that I know. And I understand that it's confusing. You need a guide to help you decipher and discern what to actually do. And that's where people like myself come into play, right? Fueling health, central nervous system wise, correcting interference, guiding families on this total different philosophy and lifestyle change. But once you change that philosophy, then you can build upon it with things and consult me, our other docs, our team on the things that you discover. But don't consult me entirely on everything until you've changed. And here's the thing, is when things get tough with your child, they're going to challenge that philosophy. They're going to want to push you back into that mechanism, that reductionism, that sickness treatment, that trying not to get sick instead of fueling health and viewing that we live in a harmonious universe and that our bodies were designed to be healthy because they were. We do live in a harmonious universe. If you begin to understand that and live upon that, it's in my opinion, the greatest gift that you'll ever give to yourself, children, their children, the future generations to come. Teach them why you're doing it and how to view out in the world how it's different, how the world wants to teach them differently so they can understand and counteract. Use the keep explaining why over and over and over again from different scenarios, different ways, and your children will be rock solid with this philosophy when they fly out on their own someday and choose to raise their family and choose the partner that they're going to marry and love and have children with. It's the greatest gift I've ever received. And I believe that to be the same for you guys. So dig in deep, think a lot about it, ask a lot of questions. I'm here to be asked questions. Type in this thread, send me emails, whatever you need to do. But it's transformational. I could give you story after story after story after story that would blow your mind, that are miracles that I've witnessed with my own eyes and my own hands and my own lifestyle. So maybe I'll have a night of telling all those stories. So for now, ponder, dig in deep, ask questions, find a good guide who lives from a holistic place, who lives a natural lifestyle, who actually raises their kiddos naturally. Look at the results that they're seeing in their own lives, and then run wild with it. Tell everybody. Thanks for